ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Manushiksha series every Friday, Saturday and Sunday morning. Yesterday we completed the discussion on verse 3 of the Manushiksha, and today we will begin with verse 4. As I was mentioning yesterday, that verse 4 onwards, it's very, very important for us. So today we will begin with verse 4 of the Shiksha. If you remember, we had discussed the overview of Manashiksha, where we mentioned that although Raghunath Das Goswami is our Prayojan Acharya, and how to attain Prayojan, he is giving us a methodology. But in his Manashiksha, the Prayojan is very clear right from the first verse, but it is going through Sambandha Vidheya Prayojan. How to establish deeper attachment to Guru, Goshte, Goshtaleshu in order to attain Prayojan. So that Sambandha Tattva is spoken in verse 1, 2 and 3. And don't perform dharma or adharma. Worship Radha and Krishna. And then exclusively. Then what about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than son of Nanda. What about Guru? Guru is the most confidential servant of Srimati Radharani. So that he made it clear in verse 2. So how to establish deeper Sambandha to Vraja Radha Krishna. And then if you want to reside in Vraj and Sir Agam, with spontaneous love, you want to worship Radha and Krishna, then develop deep attachment to Swarupam, Shri Rupam, Tasyagrajam api, Spuram, Sputam Premna Nityam, Smara Bhaja, Tadatvam Mana. So we should remember with love and clearly the 6 Goswamis if you want to reside in Vraj and perform spontaneous love. So here also there is deep Sambandha being spoken. Now verses 4, 5, 6 and 7. Because here I don't know why it is not getting displayed. verse 4, 5, 6, and 7 will speak about the Abhidheya. Now, this is the goal. Within the Sambandha, please remember, there is the Prayojan to attain Vraja Radha Krishna, to attain attachment to Vrindavan, to attain deep love and attachment to the six Goswamis. So there is Sambandha with the Prayojan mentioned. Now, what is the process? What is the Abhidheya? What is the Abhidheya? What are the obstacles? What are the internal obstacles which will help us to attain this goal, which right in the first three verses of Updeshamrit, Raghunath Das Goswami is mentioning. So we will now be going through the verses 4 to 7, which speaks about the Abhidheya, the process of elimination of the obstacles in order to attain the goal. And this, in Sanskrit, it is called by a particular terminology. Anyone knows what is the terminology? Or we speak about in our bhajan, we have to eradicate certain obstacles. So what is it called? What is it called? In the stage of bhakti also it comes, this discussion. Lakshmi Narsimhan Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I might be wrong, but just trying. Is it anarthas?
Anartha Nivritti.
Yeah, but the obstacles are anarthas. Yeah.
It's called as Anartha Nivritti. But Raghunath Das Goswami is going to speak about Artha Pravritti. He's going to speak about positive things to be done so that automatically the negative are eliminated. He's going to more speak on the Artha Pravritti in order to get eradicated of the Anartha Nivritti. So that's how it is going to go on now. So let's go to the verse and the Bhajan Darpan commentary by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Again, this is the same meter as the Jagannath Ashtakam. Asadvarta Vesha Vrishadmate Sarvasya Harani Kata Mukte Vyagra Nashunu Kila Sarvatma Glahani Api Tektva Lakshmi Pati Rati Ito Vyamanayanim Vraje Radha Krishna Swarati Manito Tvam Bhajamana. Very beautiful verse. O mind, Manah, abandon the prostitute of mundane talks who plunders all intelligence. Asadvarta is mundane talks and it is compared to a Vaishya. Right? Vishrujya means abandon. Mati Sarvasya Harani. It plunders our intelligence. Harani means it plunders. Do not listen at all to the stories of the tigress named Mukti, liberation, who devours all souls. Kata Mukti Vyagra. The Kata Mukti of Mukti Kata is compared to the Vyagra, the tigress. Na shunu, do not hear, do not listen. Sarvatma Glahani. It devours the soul. Moreover, also give up attachment to the husband of Lakshmi, Sri Narayan, who only leads one to Vaikuntha. Api tektva Lakshmi Pati Rati. Don't develop Rati or attachment to Lakshmi Pati, that is Narayan. Ito Vyamanayanim, because it will ultimately lead to Paravyam, that is Vaikuntha, not to Golok Vrindavan. So this is what is the Anartha, the don'ts which are mentioned, but what is to be done? Instead, here in Vraja, Vraje means in Vraja. Vraje means inside, Kurukshetre, we say, na? In the holy place of Kurukshetra. So Vraje, serve Shri Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna, Dvivachan it is. Who give one the jewel of their own love. Swarati Mani. Thou, Tvam, Bhajamana. Oh my mind, worship Radha and Krishna. In Vraja, who are giving the jewel of love. What they have, they are bestowing it upon others. So this is text 4. So here it is speaking about more of a Artha Pravrti. What is the positive thing to be done? And what are the negatives to be avoided? These are the three things: Asadvarta, Katamukti Vyagra, and Tektva Lakshmi Pati Rati. So these are the three things. Okay. Now this is a picture depicting this verse. While in Vraja, serve Shri Shri Radha Krishna, the givers of the jewel of their own love, Swarati Mani. So here Radha decorates Krishna hair and top knot with pearls in a jeweled carillon. And this Leela is described in the Govinda Leelamrit, and this is depicting what this verse is saying. Now, it was mentioned Asadvarta Vaishya. Just like a prostitute steals one's wealth and steals one's energy, so the mundane talk is compared to a prostitute, very heavy. Raghunath Das Goswami is very, very heavier. So, moment we start talking mundane things, immediately we should picturize about a prostitute. So, just like the prostitute robs the wealth, similarly, Asadvarta robs the intelligence. It steals the desire for love of God from the heart. It robs the intelligence. And Kata Mukti Vyagra is compared to a tigress. The talks of impersonal liberation is the tigress ready to eat the soul. And impersonal liberation is like a prisoner who contemplates suicide. And then desires for material enjoyment and liberation are like two witches. So Kata Mukti Vyagra, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his commentary is going to go in depth of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu to explain that, how Bhukti Kami and Mukti Kami are obstacles to pure devotion. And Api Tektva Lakshmi Pati, give up affection for Narayan and focus on Krishna and Vrindavan. The gopis asked Narayan, where is Krishna? So this happened during the Ras Leela pastime, where Krishna himself manifested in his 400 form. And the gopis saw Narayan and they just offered their obeisance and where is Krishna? Have you seen Krishna? So much is their ecstatic love for the 200 form that they did not worship Narayan. They were not attracted to Narayan. They asked, where is Krishna? So here Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami talk about Radha and Krishna near Radha Kund. So Vraje Radha Krishna. So discuss the pastimes about Radha and Krishna. So now let us go to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajan Darpan commentary. Mati Sarvasya Harani Asad Varta Rupa Vaishya. Mundane gossip is like a prostitute who plunders the treasure of the heart. It's very simple. Bhaktivinoda Thakur keeps it very, very simple. Just like a prostitute plunders the wealth, so Asad Varta, mundane talk, is compared to the prostitute, which plunders the treasure of the heart. And what is the treasure of the heart? Just like the prostitute takes away wealth and everything else from an immoral person, material gossip plunders one's intelligence. So how this happens? The only wealth of the living being is discriminating intelligence that has spiritual attainment as the goal. So discriminating intelligence is here equated to wealth. This is our wealth. And with this discriminating intelligence, we can attain our goal. So where in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about this discriminating intelligence, which is to be fixed in our goal? Which verse in the Bhagavad Gita Krishna speaks? Yes, Raj. Which verse in the Bhagavad Gita does Krishna speak about it? Yes. I've unmuted you. I don't know why. Yes, yes, Mataji.
No, Prabhuji, no. Prabhuji, is it Vyavasayatmika Buddhi?
Yes, exactly. Vyavasayatmika buddhi eke hi kurunandana. Eke hi kurunandana. So that's the verse. So that is the discriminating element which should be fixed in our goal, one pointed in our goal. In contrast, any material gossip in relation to sense enjoyment or any kind of connection to sense enjoyment is all temporary and useless. It's all temporary and useless. Paragraph 2. Even lessons in Shastra which promote greed for more wealth, sexual pleasure, or connection with people who are attached to sex are all asat, temporary, material, and useless. Any process that increases one's association with and attachment for temporary useless objects is called sadvarta. So this is a very, very broad definition of what is sadvarta. Any process that increases one's association with and attachment for temporary useless objects is asatvarta. So please try to recognize this asatvarta, what it is. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about mati. Regarding Krishna conscious intelligence, mati, intelligence, what are the other terms in Sanskrit which is used for intelligence? What are the other terms for the Sanskrit and intelligence or intelligence? Yes, please, your Prabhuji. Yeah.
Vivek.
Vivek, any other?
Pragya.
Pragya, yeah. Any others? Yes, Rasparani Mataji.
Prabhuji, can it be Buddhi?
Buddhi. Buddhi is the most generic term which is used. Yes, some more are there. Okay, Sunita Mataji. Yes, Sunita Mataji.
Medha.
Medha, excellent. Medha. Medha is intelligence. Yes. Yes, Ananta. Where are you, Ananta Prabhuji? Yes.
Dhiya.
Huh?
Prabhuji, praner arter dhiya.
Dhiya. Dhi is intelligence. Dhiya is, again it's a suffix added to it. Dhiya, dhi is intelligence. Yes. Some more. We have many, Buddhi, Vivek, Pragya, Dhi, and Medha. Yes, Medha. Any others? Anyone else? Steve Prabhu had raised his hand. Yes.
I was talking about Medha only.
So here it is, mati has been used. Mati. And even Kunti Maharani uses this mati. Mati is also Krishna. Tvai me ananya vishaya mati madhupate sakrit mati, the intelligence. So Smriti is also intelligence. Smriti is also intelligence. So with intelligence, we try to remember. Smriti is also intelligence. So how many terms for intelligence? Buddhi, generic. Then Pragya, Vivek, Bodh. Bodh comes from Buddhi. Then Buddhi, and then Mati, then Medha, and Smriti. Eight terms. So here Mati has been used. And sometimes, although it is intelligence, but a specific term is used based on the context, which will exactly fit in that context. Use your, discriminating intelligence, use your viveka, we might say. That time we are speaking about discriminating. So that there the intelligence is, applied for discriminating matter and spirit. So that time we might use as vivek. Sankhya is analysis, vivek. Then, try to remember using your intelligence. Mayeva Manah Adhyasa, Mayi Buddhim Niveshaya. So Buddhi is there now. So there is remembrance of Krishna. So that time, intelligence is termed as Vritti. It is termed as Vritti. And when the intelligence has to flow towards the Lord, it is fixed on the goal. The intelligence has to flow only towards Radha and Krishna. That time it is mentioned as Mati. So that's why here, Mati has been used. So that's how we should understand, So regarding Krishna conscious intelligence, Mati, Sri Ramanand Rai has said the following. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kriyatatmakuto Vilabhyate Tatra Laulyam Mekapi Moolanam Mekalam Janma Koti Sukritirna Labhyate. Actually, this is not properly broken here. That's why I'll just read once again. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Laulyam Api Moolam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukritirna Labhyate. If it is possible to obtain intelligence absorbed in the rasa of pure devotional service to Krishna. So this is the translation of Mati. That the intelligence, is attracted to rasa, spiritual rasa, and not material rasa. Then one must acquire it without delay. Labhyate, one should immediately acquire it. Intense greed for that rasa is the only prize. Tatra laulyam api moolyam ekalam. It cannot be obtained even by pious activities in millions of births. Kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate. Tatra laulyam moolyam ekalam. Janma koti sukriti na labhyate. By doing janma koti sukriti, by performing karma kanda activities or the varnashram activities for millions of births also, you cannot obtain that greed. So here, what is Krishna conscious Mati? Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting Ramanand Rai. And Srila Prabhupada, this phrase, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati, he coined his society as the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Our consciousness should only flow towards Krishna. The rasa should only flow towards everything what we see is for Krishna and not sense objects. So that's how he termed it. Okay, now the next is Sarvatma Gilani Mukti Vyagra Katha. So if you have any questions regarding up till now what we have discussed, Mati Sarvasya Harani Asar Varta information. Any questions anyone has up till now? Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary is very, very simple and straightforward. Okay. Discussion of mukti or merging into impersonal Brahman, into impersonal Brahman are like a ferocious tigress which devours everyone's soul. Here the word mukti, liberation, refers to Brahma Nirvanam, also called Sayujya Mukti. So mukti means Sayujya Mukti. This type of liberation involves merging into either the impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Lord or the body of God directly. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Sarvabhaum Samvad, it is mentioned that there are two types of Sayuj Mukti. Anyone knows which are the two types of Sayuj Mukti? It's mentioned here, but I would like to hear what are the two types of Sayuj Mukti which are mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. Which are the two types of liberation? Krishnapal Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Is it Brahma Sayuj and Kaivalya?
No, Kaivalya is again Brahma Sayuj. Brahma Sayuj and Ishwar Sayuj.
Okay.
So Brahma Sayuj is merging in the effulgence of the Brahma Jyoti, and Ishwara Sayuj is merging into the body of the Lord. Usually the Jnanis merge in the impersonal effulgence and the Yogis merge in the body of Mahavishnu. So among the two, actually Ishwar Sayuj is considered more condemned, more degraded. And Prabhupada in one of his class gives a talk and mentions, just like the child comes out of the mother's womb and suffers misery in this material world, and he tells the mother, "Mother, I've been suffering in this material world, please take me back in your womb." It's so condemned it is. So like that is Ishwar Sayuj. Sayuj Mukti negates the eternal individuality of the self, both. The establishment of this merging is as ultimate liberation is based on word manipulation. It is based on word manipulation. It is not the ultimate truth any more than there are flowers growing in the sky. Any more than the flowers growing in the sky. In reality, the only ultimate truth, Paramatatva, is the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is the possessor of all inconceivable potencies. Those supreme potencies of the Lord are eternal. They are eternal. The divine potency, Chit Shakti, manifests the Lord's transcendental pastimes. In the form of Maya, she creates endless material universes as well as the physical and the subtle material bodies of the conditioned souls. In her aspect as a marginal potency, Tatashra Shakti, she manifests countless minuscule living beings. So, in Brahma Sayuj, those who are Jnanis, they accept the personality of Godhead without any material potencies. So that is the absolute truth for them. For the yogis, the absolute truth is, Brahman or Paramatma with material potencies, But for the bhaktas or the devotees who worship Bhagavan, it is Bhagavan with both material and spiritual potencies. Both material and spiritual potencies. So this is important, and that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning about the potencies of the Lord, that the Lord has inconceivable potencies. By the Chit potency, he manifests the Lord's abode. His spiritual form is there, names, pastimes, everything. And by the external potency, the Vairanga Shakti, the material world and the physical and the gross bodies, and the Tatastha Shakti, manifest the Jivas. So those who are Jnanis, they accept Brahman without any potencies. Those who are yogis, they accept Paramatma with only material potencies. And those who are bhaktas, devotees, who worship Bhagavan, they accept Lord with both material and spiritual potencies. Okay, now further Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a reasoning why these Jnanis aspire for liberation. Some people are envious of Bhagavan, the supreme personal form of God, and his devotees. There are also some who are apathetic to Bhagwan's name, form, qualities, and pastimes, considering them to be imaginary. So these are the Gyanis. These are the especially sometimes the Mayavadis also. Although such envious or apathetic persons continue to suffer the reactions of the karma, they experience some sort of pleasure by discussing impersonal liberation. But that happiness is like the happiness of the criminal who commits suicide in order to escape punishment. So these Gyanis or the yogis, they suffer material miseries, and suffering these material miseries in this material world, they want to become liberated. They want to become liberated from these materials, and that's why they want to get out of this material world. So this, that's why they take up to the Gyan Marg, and that's why they experience pleasure in discussing impersonal Brahman or liberation. So this is compared to what? A criminal who is suffering in the jail and he wants to, end the misery of being in the jail, and he commits suicide in order to escape the punishment. Therefore, we must be very carefully abandon all topics and all contemplation of the process of worshipping for attaining impersonal liberation. Also, one must give up the association of those who are eager for impersonal liberation. Such liberation is like a tigress who devours the soul. So in the Shad Goswami Ashtakam, there is one line which comes that, the 6 Goswamis came to save us from the jaws of, crocodile jaws of impersonal liberation. What is that line? I'm not able to recollect. The Shad Goswami Ashtakam. Nana Shastra Vicharane Rupano Sadharma Samsakam. Which is that exact line? I'm not able to recollect now. It's Vyagra only there, it is mentioned, as far as I understand, I think. Let me find out from the Vedabase. Anyone remembers? Also can raise their hands. I think from there also it is mentioned as Nana Shastra. Anyone remembers what is that line? I'm not able to get it. Let me find out. Yeah. Yes, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanvat Prana. So that line, it is Kaivalya Nistarako.
Kaivalya Nistarako. Where does it come?
It is through third stanza. Third. Ananda.
Kaivalya Nistarako. Yes. Kaivalya Nistarako. Yes, I got it. Kaivalya Nistarako. And here, Prabhupada translates this as Anandambudhi Vardana Ekanipano Kaivalya Nistarako. They who are the saviors from impersonal liberation. Anandambudhi, they have come to give the highest rasa, and they are saviors from the impersonal liberation. They are saviors from the Prabhupada also in one place he says they come to save you from the jaws, crocodile jaws of impersonal liberation. So yeah, that's why liberation is compared to a tiger's bit also. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami explains this topic as follows. Bhukti mukti spruha yavat pishachi riddhi vartate tavat bhakti sukasyatra katam abvidyo bhave. Shri Krishna charana bhoja seva nivritta chetasam esham mokshaya bhaktanam na kadachit spruha bhave. The desire to enjoy the material world and the desire to become liberated from material bondage are considered to be two witches which haunt one like ghosts. Pishachi riddhi vartate. As long as these witches remain within the heart, how can one feel transcendental bliss? Katam bhakti sukasyatra katam abvido bhavet. Now, please remember, I don't want to go into an elaborate discussion on the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu on this point, but I would like to make the point that as long as in our heart there are desires for what to speak of mukti, bhakti also, both gross and subtle, we cannot relish pure devotion. We cannot begin pure devotion. And then what to speak about? Mukti, liberation. And in liberation, Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu goes on to mention different levels of gradations of liberation. And that we will take up. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to speak about it. Sri Krishna Charanam Bhojo Seva Nivritta Chetasam. Those dedicated devotees whose minds are always absorbed in the loving service of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Esham Mokshaya Bhaktanam Na Kadachit Spruha Bhavet. Never have the slightest desire for impersonal liberation. So, we should remember that bhakti here refers to Shuddha Bhakti. As long as the subtle desires of bhakti and mukti are there, we cannot experience Shuddha Bhakti and the happiness of Shuddha Bhakti. And what is the happiness of Shuddha Bhakti? Rupa Goswami also defines that, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He says it is compared to, the happiness of impersonal Brahman, if it is multiplied millions of times for the lifespan of half of life of Brahma, cannot even compare to the drop of bliss what is experienced in Shuddha Bhakti. So we can imagine what is the experience of Shuddha Bhakti. So in this context, I'm just taking a short detour to explain about this verse. Now, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu first wave, we come across the definition of Shuddha Bhakti. We come across the definition of Shuddha Bhakti. And that is there in 1:1:11. Anya Bilashita Shunyam Yan Karmadyanavritam Anukulena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhakti Ruttama. Anya Bilashita Shunyam means no desire for bhakti and mukti. And after he defines pure devotion, then Rupa Goswami goes into the 6 characteristics of pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti, the 6 characteristics. He completely disregards liberation. And there is extreme bliss in pure devotion. So these are the 6 characteristics, please remember, of pure devotion. Now, I'm just directly taking you all to the second wave where there is sadhana bhakti discussed. So first Rupa Goswami defines sadhana bhakti, kriti sadhya bhave sadhya sa sadhana bhita. And then he goes on to define, after giving the proofs, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. What is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti? Which is governed by rules and regulations. And after defining Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, he gives evidence for Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and then qualification to practice. What is Adhikar? Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama. These are the Adhikaris to practice Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Now, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti means Shuddha Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Because Sadhana Bhakti means Shuddha Sadhana Bhakti, which falls in the category of Uttama Bhakti definition or Shuddha Bhakti. Now, after giving this qualification for practicing, even the Mishra Bhaktas should take up to Shuddha Bhakti, and then only they are qualified to practice Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Purification of mixed devotees, they should take up to Shuddha Bhakti, gives. And then he comes to this point, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting, rejection of the desire for bhakti and mukti. So he quotes this bhakti mukti spruhayavat. Now the point is that those who are siddhas, in their hearts, there is no desire for bhakti and mukti at all. At all. But those who are sadhakas, although there are desires, they are absorbed in the bliss of the service of the Lord, and they are not deviated by these desires. If your consciousness is attracted to even desire for what to speak of mukti, even for bhukti, that means you're still having desires for gross sense gratification or subtle sense gratification, that means you're still not qualified to practice Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Shuddha Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. I hope this point is clear. So I just took a detour to explain this very important point, which is being quoted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We'll come to now Mukti Spruha a little more in detail. Okay, any questions up till now again? Up till this point, the second theme which we discussed. Any questions? I hope about this Shuddha Sadhana Bhakti and Shuddha Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, where there is no desire for bhakti and mukti, is clear. It's not really well understood by devotees. That's why I just went into the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu to make it clear. Okay, so now we will continue the last part of the discussion. Vyoma Nayani Lakshmi Pati Rati. The attachment for Lakshmi Pati Narayan takes one to Vaikuntha. The abode of Narayan is known as Paravyom or Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. There, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the possessor of all opulences in full, resides eternally. In this abode, one can achieve 4 kinds of liberation by serving the husband of Lakshmi, Narayan. What are they? Sarupya, Samipya, Salokya, and Shashti. So by practicing Mishra Bhakti, we can attain the Vaikuntha and attain Lord of Vaikuntha Narayan. Remember, this is Mishra Bhakti, not Shuddha Bhakti. If one is practicing Uttama Bhakti, then he should give up even desires for Sarupya, Samipya, Salokya, and Shashti. And Kapil Dev speaks about it. Diyamanam na grananti vinamat sevanam jana. Even if these 4 kinds of liberation which are given for my devotees, they don't accept it. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes again Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami speaks about it in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Atra tejya tvai vukta mukti pancha vidhapi chet salogadis tatapi atra bhakti na ati virudyate. So there are these 5 kinds of liberation, pancha, but salokadi, these four are not so much, opposed to devotion bhakti. And now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes the next verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita. Sukha Aishwarya Uttara Sevam Prema Sevottar Kapi Salokadir Vida Tatra Nadya Seva Jushamata. Now, this verse has to be understood, and I'm directly going to the translation. Although this book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, has suggested a devotee to give up 5 types of religion, still 4 out of them, Sarupya, Samritya, Salukya, and Shashti, are not very much against bhakti. Now, the next verse translation. These 4 types of liberation may be motivated either by the desire for personal opulence and happiness, or by the desire for prema in service to Krishna. Now, Sukh Aishwarya Uttara and Prema Seva Uttara. Now, Sukha Aishwarya means that in these 4 types of liberation, Shashti is, having the same opulence as Narayan. The Jiva has the same opulence, who is liberated in the spiritual world, has the same opulence as Narayan. And, he's residing with Narayan, Samipya, he's having the same form as Narayan. So practically, this is Sukha Aishwarya. Whatever Narayan is experiencing, Sukha and Aishwarya, the Jiva there, the liberated souls there are experiencing it. That is called as Sukha Aishwarya. So motivated by Sukha Aishwarya, you can practice bhakti. And you can give up Sukha Aishwarya and just, the prema in serving as a dasya of Narayan, and not motivated by any of these also. That is called as Prema Sevottara. Prema Sevottara. There is Sukha Aishwarya and Prema Sevottara. So these are the 2 types. Now the next verse, which Rupa Goswami is quoting, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting Rupa Goswami. Kintu preme bhagamadurya Ujo ekantino haro naivangi kurvante jato muktim pancha vidamapi. Out of these, the first motivation is not suitable for those only desiring loving service. That is, the first motivation is Sukha Aishwarya. We should be only motivated by prema. Then, however, kintu, that however is kintu, one-pointed devotees of the Lord who desire to experience only the sweetness of prema do not accept any type of liberation to Vaikuntha. In fact, those who are exclusively attracted to the Madhurya, they don't even want the Prem Uttara. Prem Uttara, please remember that, Prem Uttara. Among all these devotees, those whose minds have been stolen by Govinda are the best. That is this verse. Tatrapi ekantinam shreshta Govinda ritmanasa Esham Shrisha Prasadopi Mano Hartum Na Shakniyat. So those whose hearts are being stolen by Govinda, even the favor of the Lord of Lakshmi, Narayan, cannot capture their minds. The gopis, when they saw Narayan, after the Ras Leela, this pastime happened, their hearts were not captured by Narayan because they were attracted to the Madhurya of Govinda. They were attracted to the highest Madhurya Ras. Now, the last verse, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting. Siddhanta tu abhedapi Shrisha Krishna Sarupayo Rasot Karshate Krishna Rupam Esha Rasastiti. So here now he makes a conclusion. Although in principle there is no difference between the forms of Narayan and Krishna, Krishna is superior to the principles of rasa, divine aesthetics, because of divine aesthetics. Aesthetics means, taste for, in material there are aesthetics, like you like this color, you like this type of textures at home, traditional. So there are material aesthetics, and there is subtle material aesthetics in the form of poetry, fine music, flute music, sounds, ragas. And then there is spiritual aesthetics in the form of rasas. Such is the conclusion of the rasa point of view. Isa rasa sthiti. This is the situation of rasa. This is the situation of rasa. So, now I'll again come back to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where after mentioning Anya Bilasha Shunyam as desire for Bhakti, and Bhakti should be also not there if you want to experience Shuddha Bhakti bliss. So as long as the subtle desires are there in the heart, that means Shuddha Bhakti has not yet manifested in the heart. Now, after speaking this and giving a lot of evidence from the scriptures, then gradations of Mukti Spruha, Rupa Goswami speaks, and the same verses are quoted. These 5 verses, the 5 types of Mukti are worthy of rejection, but they are not so much unfavorable to Bhakti. And then Sukha Aishwarya, Prem Se Uttara. And then Kintu Madhurya, one who is attracted to the Madhurya, he doesn't even accept this Sukha Aishwarya, Prem Se Uttara. And those who are Prema Bhaktas, worshippers of Govinda, they are the best. There are Prema Bhaktas who worship Narayan out of Prema only. But those who are Prema Bhaktas of Govinda, they are the best. And that is what Shri Prasado, even if they get the mercy of Narayan, they are not interested. So these are the subtle gradations within Mukti, which we should transcend to attain Shuddha Bhakti or Ananya Bhakti. Okay, there's one question, Krishnapal Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, what is the difference between Sukha Aishwarya, desire for Mukti, and Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam, which is told in Srimad Bhagavad Gita?
Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Prita Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadho Na Vidyate. If you want to fix your consciousness on the self, become self-realized, and your consciousness is now caught in Bhoga and Aishwarya, that is enjoyment in this world, then you cannot, practice self-realization. That's the point there in the generic sense mentioned. But here, we are speaking about, the Aishwarya, happiness of, happiness in Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha, Sukh Aishwarya. There is Aishwarya in Vaikuntha. And that, happiness, what we get. See, there is happiness which is at the Jada level, material happiness. There is heavenly happiness. And there is happiness at the Brahman platform, Brahmananda. But there is happiness now at the spiritual level. At the spiritual level, there is a level of happiness in Vaikuntha. So those who are practicing devotion, aspiring for that Vaikuntha happiness in the form of Salokya, Srashti, Samipya, even that has to be given, especially for those who are worshippers of Govinda. Now, this is Sukha Aishwarya. And there is Prema Sevuttara. Prema Sevuttara means, I don't want the happiness of Vaikuntha. I don't, if it comes or doesn't come down, I'm interested in only doing my loving service to Narayan. That is Prema Sevuttara. Because I mentioned Shashti means you have practically the same opulences and mystic powers like the Lord. Shashti means having the same opulences like the Lord. So they are, dedicated to Prema. That is Prema Uttara. But higher than that is those who are worshippers of Govinda, attracted only by Prema, Madhurya. And they give up even Sukha Aishwarya, Prema Sevuttara. I hope it is clear.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
These are
But
the
one more extension, if you can allow me, of the question.
yes.
Prabhuji, there is no conception of divine Vaikuntha opulence in current sadhaka stage. So whether it is rejection that happens when it is obtained, or it is goal even at the time of being a sadhaka.
Come again.
I mean to ask, there is no conception of Vaikuntha Sukha Aishwarya now in conditioned state of consciousness.
Right.
And maybe it will come at the time the inclination will be tested and we give it up. But whether at this stage we should hanker for that Madhurya while in sadhana stage only, theoretically.
Yes, yes. So that is why our goal should be one. We don't know the happiness of serving Radha and Krishna, who are giving their Swarati, the highest Madhurya ras, the highest mellows. But our goal should be fixed, and that is what Raghunath Das Goswami is saying. Now, at our stage in sadhaka, as we practice our sadhana bhakti, at different levels, these will come up. And if we are understood and we are fixed in our goal, then we understand, there is, Taranga Rangini, which will come up in the form of Puja Labha Pratishta, following, wealth, all these Aishwarya in this world will come. And then at the higher stages, still higher opulences will come in the form of, siddhis, and whether now you are, trying to use these siddhis, and then still higher will come. Like Dhruva Maharaj was in meditation and he was experiencing the bliss. He saw the Lord in the heart, and then he saw Krishna Garbha in front of him. And having experienced the sweetness now, that desire for having a kingdom greater than Brahma, he felt, oh, this is such a dirty desire. He did not want it now. So as we experience, if we are fixed in the goal, because Dhruva Maharaj was a mixed devotee, he practiced mixed devotion, he attained the Lord. He attained Dhruva planet, it is Vaikuntha planet. So because he practiced Mishra Bhakti, but he got purified by the association of the Lord or the association of the pure devotees. So the Mishra Bhaktas slowly become Shuddha Bhaktas, and by associating with Shuddha Bhaktas, then we give up these kind of subtle desires at different levels. I hope it is clear.
Yes, Ruth. Thank you.
Okay, now the last part of this discussion. I hope I went into Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu because it was important to understand where the flow is coming from. Okay, now Lakshmi Pati, Vyam Nayan, that also has been rejected. Here. Okay. We have discussed this translation. Now, last part. In this regard, Srila Haridas Thakur has expressed transcendental sentiment. Alam tri diva vartaya kim iti sarva bhauma shriya viduratara tara vartini bhava tvamoksha lakshmi rapi kalindi gire nandini tatani kunja punja dhare manoharati kevalam navatamala neelam maha. So by reciting these types of verses Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving, we will be fixed in our goal. I had enough with talk of celestial planets, Tri Divam Varta Kim, and have no use for the great kingdom of earth, Sarva Bhauma Shriya. Even the opulence of liberation should go far away from me. To Moksha Lakshmi Apir, Vidurata Vartini Bhava. My heart is stolen by that person. Manah Harati In the grooves by the Yamuna, whose shining dark bluish complexion is like the young Tamal, Kalindi Giri Nandini Tata, Nikunja Punjadare, Manoharati, Evalam, Navatamala, Nilam, Maha. So this should be our aspiration, although we are not at that level, but this is our prayer. This should be our prayer. Okay. The last part. Swarati Mani Dao. Giving the jewels of their own love. Swarati Dao also means Atmarati Dao. The Atma, the soul's rasa with the divine couple. The soul of all souls is Shri Shri Radha Krishna. And the love that each individual has towards them is called as Atma Rati. It's called as Atma Rati. That love is covered by various desires born of ignorance when souls are enchanted by Maya. Although such love is the Jiva's eternal dharma in the perfected state. Srila Ishwar Puri exemplifies this love. So this love, Atmarati, now there are few verses which are quoted. We will take up that. Dhanyanam Ridhi Bhasatam Girivar Pratya Agra Kunjo Kasam Satyanandarasam Vikar Vibhava Vyatrittam Antaramaha Asmakam Kila Vallavi Ratiraso Vrindatvai Lalaso Gopa Gopi Mahendra Nila Ruchiras Chitte Mohu Kridato. May the cowherd boy, who is the festival of ecstatic bliss for the hearts of the fortunate creatures residing in the groves of Govardhan, who eagerly enjoys loving pastimes in the forest of Vrindavan with the gopis, and whose complexion is as splendid as the great sapphire, eternally enjoy transcendental pastimes in our hearts. In my heart, this Lord who enjoys loving pastimes with the gopis in the groves of Govardhan and with ecstatic bliss. So let this. Madhavendra Puri has beautifully expressed his enduring attachment for Lord Krishna. Rasam prashamsantu kavitatva tvatva nishta brahmamritam veda shiro mi visata vayam tu kunja kalitavam sam grihita vamsam kamapi Shrayama. Those devoted to poetry may praise its sweetness. Those devoted to Vedic study may praise the nectar of impersonal Brahman. We praise neither. We simply take shelter of that person who plays a flute and wears a necklace of gunja berries. So this is how our Atma should be attracted to not Swarga or impersonal liberation, but to Krishna. Sri Kaviratna also states, Jatu pratah yatnena pativa padam ne indrapade modate sandatte na cha yoga siddhi sudhiya moksha na kankshate kalindi vanesima nisthiratadim megadito kevalam Shuddhe Brahmani Ballavi Bhujata Lata Vande Mano Dhavati. Mind never prays for the post of earthly king, Parthiva Padam, nor the desires for the post of Indra, na Indrapade Modate. It does not like the perfection, yogic perfections, nor yearn for liberation. Na Dattena Yoga Siddhi, Sudhya Moksha na Kamshate. It only runs after the pure Supreme Brahman, who in the forest of Yamuna is bound by the vine of the gopi's arm and so appears like a dark rain cloud surrounded by lightning. Kalinde vane sima nistiratadim megaduta kevalam Shuddha Brahmani. I'm attracted to the Shuddha Brahman, who is Vallavi Bhujalata, who is bound by the vines of the gopi's arms. Manodhavati, my mind runs after that. So these are the kind of prayers so that we are fixed in the goal. Last quotation is here. Srimad Puri also expresses a spiritual sentiment. Anangarasa chaturi chapal charu netranchalas chalan makara kundalas purita kanti gandasalah vrajwallisita nagari nikararasalasot sukha same sapadi manasas spuratu gopi gopalaka. I pray that a certain cowherd boy who expertly cast amorphous glances from the corners of his beautiful restless eyes, whose splendid cheeks are decorated with glistening, swinging, sharp-shaped earrings, and who is very eager to enjoy the rasa dance with the radiant girls of Raja, may at once appear within my heart. So this is Swarati Mani. Though this is what they are come to give. We have just trying to get some glance from these verses of our great acharyas, and we should regularly recite these verses and understand this is what is the rasa atmarati. Only through worshipping Shri Radha Krishna, the divine couple in Vrindavan, with these jewels of attachment awakened within the practitioner's heart, elevating the sadhaka to the highest state of ecstasy of love of Godhead, called Maha. So only by this it is possible. So that is regarding Atma Rati. I'll just take 2-3 minutes extra and finish the Manah Shiksha Bhasha also. Krishna Varta Vina An Asada Varta Boli Jane. Discussions about useless things without speaking of Krishna. Say Veshyate Bhayankari is like a frightening prostitute. So this is how we should, graphically, when we start discussing mundane talk, this figure should come in our mind. Shri Krishna Vishayamati Jivera Durlabhati Say Vaishyamati Layahari. Such talks take away thoughts about Krishna. Mata Layahari Vaishya, which are extremely rare for living beings. Durlabhati, because of Krishnamati, is very durlabh. Shrunomana bole e tomaha. Listen, oh mind, let me tell you. Mukti name sardhuli tar kata yadi shune. If you listen to the crouching tigress called liberation mukti, sarvatma sampati gilakhoy, it devours all the opulence of the soul. Tad ubhaya tyag kare mukti kata parihari. Renounce both liberation and useless discussions. Lakshmi pati rati rake dure. Even give up the attachment for the Lord's form as Lakshmi's husband Narayan. Se rati prabala hoy paravoma deya phele. If your love for Narayan is too strong, it will send you to Vaikunta Paroyom and you will not find shelter in Vraj. Nahi dehe vasa vraje pure. What to speak of Vaikunta? Even one should not desire Mathura and Dwarka if one wants Vraj Bhakti. Vraje Radha Krishna Rati, but love for Radha and Krishna and Vraja. Amulya Dhana Dhati grants a unique and incomparable treasure, that rasa which was spoken in the Padyavali verses by great acharyas. Tai tumi bhaje chiradina. So pray for that every day. So every day we should recite these kinds of verses. Rupa Raghunath Pai, Sei Rata Pratanaya. This lowly and poor Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Deenahina, prays for such love at the feet of Rupa and Raghunath. Rupa Raghunath Pai, Sei Rati Pratna. So we should offer our prayers to Rupa and Raghunath. So that ends the Bhajan Manah Shiksha. Tomorrow we will discuss one entire class on Shivram Swami Maharaj commentary on this. Very interesting commentary. So any questions or clarifications up till now? No questions. So tomorrow we will begin with, tomorrow one class we will devote to Shivram Swami Maharaj commentary. And next week, 3 classes, we should be able to finish Bhakti-Jnana Goswami's commentary. That will finish verse 4. Then we'll come to verse 5. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai. Shri Manah Shiksha ki jai. Hare Krishna.